and just really didn't like this kid. Okay. And I could see that this was happening. One day they were training and he was face cranking this kid. He was really like being physical with him. And then after the round, when it came time to fist bump, he slapped and then punched his hand like hard.
What's the most efficient path to victory against this particular opponent?
He's dropping off for the choke here. We could see the finish. It's looking tight. Tight at Alpra.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Essential Jiu Jitsu Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Kwan. The Essential Jiu Jitsu Podcast is everything you need to know about Jiu Jitsu. And today I am joined by Sam and Nick of Legacy Martial Arts Consulting. Sam and Nick, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for having us.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, guys, please, before we get into this, like, share, subscribe, leave comments below. It helps the algorithm. If you want to support or contact the show, the links are in the bottom. You can check that out. Thank you very much. Okay, so I guess we'll get right into it. Just introduce yourself. Tell us what you do and what your company does.
My name is Nick Castiglia. I'm a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I've been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu since 2002, so a long time. And I currently own 3 schools, and I have a consulting company with Sam, Legacy Martial Arts Consulting. Currently have over 40 gyms across Canada, United States. We've helped several other people in other countries as well. And that's a little blurb about myself. Sure.
Yes, I'm Samantha Hadelstad. I'm a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu purple belt and been training for 4 years now. And I have a bachelor's in psychology, and I run the operations of Legacy every day and help us create our content and pretty much fully immersed in jiu-jitsu since I started, but in the company for the last 2 years. So yeah, I love what we do.
Very nice. So you multiple business owners. You said you have 3 gyms, Nick?
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. I have 3.
That's a shitload of gyms. I have one, and it's a lot, especially when you're sort of levering multiple businesses at the same time. I know how busy that can be. And especially like if you ever want to do, competing or training for yourself, sometimes it's kind of, it gets put on the back burner as entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah, we do our best to like help other gym owners like find the balance because the truth is you need to take care of yourself. You need to be the best version of yourself. And this is what we're helping gym owners with all the time. Mm-hmm. We call it the tribe of self. So you got to take care of yourself first, because that makes you the best version of yourself to help everybody else in your tribe, whether that's your significant other, your children, and then your gym in that order, like that's the way you need to take care of things in your life. And we help the gym owners, find this balance as well. And most importantly, like make their businesses like profitable as much as they can while building strong communities, because we all, like, if you talk to gym owners, like everybody got into it for the same reasons. I love jiu-jitsu, or I love martial arts, and I love sharing it with people, so it's like a very noble, very honest, like nobody says, oh man, I'm going to start martial arts, become a millionaire. Like nobody's like, that's why they do it. Right.
Yeah.
However, you can still stay true to your like morals and values and still have that financial success. And that's what we're doing is we're showing gym owners how to achieve those things.
And we find too that a lot of gym owners, like they lack a little bit of belief and they almost feel bad about charging or like feel bad about making money, but it's like you can't give unless you're giving from a place of strength, right? So all the time we say, I want to help this guy out and help that guy out. But it's like, Nick will do some like training. In times we've gone and like done seminars, he'll pick out the person that's been training the longest, and he'll ask them like, I'll let actually you tell the exercise, but we kind of put in perspective like what they're actually giving to people when they join their school. I'll let you explain it.
So I'll just do it with you, Matt. And I do this to help people understand the value of what a martial artist truly provides. So like, and it's kind of cheating because like I know you from like 10 years ago. So I know you've been training an extremely long time. So how long have you been training now, Matt?
I have been doing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu for about 15 years now.
So 15 years. Okay. So here's the deal. Do you have a family? Like, do you have any kids or anything?
Yeah, I have 2 kids.
Okay, great. Awesome. So how much money like would give your family like generational wealth? Like your kids. Like just pick a number. Pick like, I don't know. It could be a crazy number. 100 million.
I mean, if we're talking like Vancouver and with the current state of inflation, I mean, like we're probably more than I can probably accumulate. I would say for me to have money for my kids, and with projected inflation, I don't know, fucking 10 million, something like that, maybe. Like I'm gonna aim high.
Yeah, we'll go even higher. We'll say like 100 million.
Okay.
And you'll understand why I say such a big number. So $100 million. So I'm going to give you 100 million. Okay. I'm going to give you $100 million, but you have to give me something. And this is what you have to give. Okay. And you said like this, that's a number that's going to take care of my family forever, everything. But this is what you got to give me. You give me every memory of martial arts. You give me every positive character attribute you gain from martial arts. You gotta give me everything. You gotta give me everything you gain. For some of us, for me, I have 3 kids, like the person that I met that I had those children with, like I met through that, so you have to give me it all. You have to give me everything for the 100 million. Would you give me that and I give you the 100 million?
Probably not.
And guess what? The answer has always been, and it like gives people chills. It has always been, no matter who I've asked, they're like, no, I would never do that, because they saw everything that they had gained in their life to this point and how much of the impact that martial arts had on them. Okay. I do that exercise with gym owners because right then and there, you see in like a quick snapshot in their eyes, they realize, man, what I'm providing for people is going to change their life forever,
Yep.
And that's how we begin to teach business owners like what their true value is, or to at least have an understanding. Does that make sense?
100% makes sense. Maybe I'm the wrong person to ask about like money versus memories or whatever, because I'm not driven by money. I've never been like a money guy. I'm more driven by like passion and skills and things that I really enjoy. So I'm probably the worst candidate to ask for that. I'm shocked that some people don't take the 100 million, honestly. But I totally get where you're coming from. And I think our philosophies of how we approach our own schools and our businesses are pretty much aligned. I see huge value in watching my students succeed, watching them grow, watching them fail, honestly, like it's part of the growth process. And then coming to me and telling me how much what I've done has meant for them or meant for their child, or, hey, my child got into a fight at school and they used jiu-jitsu, or someone was bullying their brother and they used jiu-jitsu. Like these are, and it neutralized the situation and made the bully look like a complete idiot. It's like stuff like that. When you hear that, you realize like, okay, like I feel like I've sort of dialed in my purpose, and I feel even more motivated to to be more of a to provide whatever I can provide to enrich their life. Whereas like my last career, I was in the culinary arts, and it was just grinding every day. Not a lot of reward, not a lot of like enriching people's lives, just feeding them, and then basically getting no respect or no recognition. Then when I made a career switch to martial arts, all of a sudden it was like, oh, professor bowing to me and honestly treating me, kind of putting me on a pedestal, which makes me uncomfortable, honestly. And I'm sure you go through it too. It's like, as the gym owner, as the black belt, it's almost like you get excessive amounts of respect at times. It's almost like people put you up as you're this mystical ninja or whatever. So it was a real stark contrast of I guess the respect that I received between the two careers. But I totally hear what you're saying. There's nothing that motivates me more than, you know, what you're talking about, making people's lives better through martial arts. And I wouldn't trade it for any amount of money, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And that's why we love Legacy, because it allows us to give gym owners the tools to pursue what they love. Because like, I think he kind of mentioned, like, nobody does this to get rich. It's always
For
a
sure.
passion project, right? Starting your martial arts school. And it's always risky starting your own business. So all of our clients, like, they really love what they do, and we just give them the piece of the puzzle that they're missing to actually build a living and have sustainable income and eventually wealth as they, you know, make more money and invest and do different things with it.
Yeah.
And that's what's so rewarding for us, is because we feel like our impact multiplies exponentially by being able to help other schools who help hundreds of people as their students. So that we really we love what we do for that reason.
Yeah. Another thing too, to talk about, like, helping people. And something that like breaks my heart is like, I'll have these guys like, you know, one client we have is like a 5th degree black belt, like pioneer of Jiu Jitsu in Canada. And like, he was working 2 jobs.
He was waiting tables on the weekends.
You know, and I finally got him to, like, he was in like a precarious situation, kind of like in his school he didn't own and stuff like that, and got him to open up his own school. And like 4 months, 150 students, like, he's doing great financially. Like, he doesn't have to work in a second job. Like, for me, for a multitude of reasons, like, one, because that guy's about the right things, you know, it really means a lot to me to like help him. 2, he's like a pioneer in Canada. So like, he deserves the success, in my opinion. He deserves it. You know, he's a good person. And he was just grinding, man. And like, just to like help. Now he's grinding, but at least he's grinding doing what he loves.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like
good money.
And making good money and helping others. And that's something that really is passionate for me, because you wouldn't believe how many like high level competitors or people who, they're great at jiu-jitsu, but they're not great at running a business, or they don't know how to run it to make it lucrative, you know, and still, you know, serve their community and it be about the morals and values, you know. And I also think there's some other consulting companies that are out there now that are like selling the wrong things as well. I don't want to get into that right this second, but definitely the thing that like touches me a lot is like helping those people. Like, I had somebody reach out, I don't want to say their name, but he was on, do you remember Ultimate Fighter?
The show?
The show.
Yeah.
So like, in first, one of the guys reached out who was on the first season, and he was like, yo, is this Papa Nick? And I was like, yo, is this really this guy? You know? And he's like, yeah, that's me. He's like, hey man, I want to open up my own school, this and that. And I was just like mystified that this gentleman didn't have his own school. It wasn't financially successful. He was working for somebody else. I was like, yo, this guy's like a legend, you know, like in the scene. Like, you could probably name 10 guys off of that first season, you know, Stephen Bonner, Forrest Griffin, like this guy, that guy, you know what I mean? Like anybody who grew up in that scene at that time knows those guys. So when he
Yeah.
reached out, I was like, man, I would love to help you. Like I would love
Mm,
to help you pursue what exactly you're looking for, because I believe they deserve it. They paid their dues. Now they just need to learn what they need to learn to become
mhm.
successful on the side of the martial arts school.
Yeah, just because you are a good competitor or even a good teacher, it doesn't necessarily translate to other parts of the job. So I know people who are fantastic competitors who aren't good teachers. I know people who are good teachers who aren't good competitors. I know people who are good at both, but they're not good business people. I know people who are strictly business and have shitty jujitsu, but they still can, they can make money because their marketing plan caters to a crowd that doesn't really seek out like an autistic level of jujitsu like I seek out, right? Like I've always put like the passion first in anything I do. I've always, like I said earlier in the show, I don't emphasize money. I'm kind of more skill based, and then if you do that and people like your product and you're nice and everything, then the money kind of falls into place just naturally due to good character and a good product. Um, before we move on, can I just ask you a few base level questions so I can just get some like basic info?
Yeah,
So,
sure.
so the first thing is just like how long have you been training for, both of you?
Yeah.
Me, it's been like 20. I'm in my 20. What is I said 2002. So when we're
Let's do some
21,
quick math on the
21,
fly here.
22 years.
Nice. How long have you had Legacy for, or how long has Legacy been a company?
Legacy's been a company about what, 5 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, Legacy's
Incorporated in 2019.
has been 5 years, but didn't really like start hitting the next level until Sam came on, and I was because I was pretty much tapped. Legacy was just like one man show, and it
Hmm.
was me. So
Like most
Yeah.
businesses, anyone who started a business, it takes a couple of years. Usually you're honestly in the red, and you're kind of just doing it out of passion and belief that one day it will grow into something bigger. That's what I'm doing with this fucking podcast right now. It's like I'm using tons of time, tons of resources, and like, you know, every time someone subscribes to my online academy, which is basically how they can support the show, it's like, oh my God, somebody's validating me, right? But it's still just like a waste of resources for now. I just do it because like I enjoy it, and I try and I just love talking about jujitsu. Um, I assume you help people who are both current gym owners and also people who are starting their own schools, so like in different phases of their entrepreneurial journey.
We're just kind of starting our startup program. Most of our clients have already had gyms, but we're starting to figure that out. Like we've kind of iterated a few times, so we're starting to put together like more of an actual program for that.
yeah, for the
Yeah,
startup
because there's a
clients.
lot of different to dos associated with that, as you know,
Yeah.
before you even get to the operational part of it. But yeah,
Especially if there's partners.
yeah,
Yeah.
Especially if
that
there's
that
partners.
complicates things
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, we just like just recently, like it's almost like a pilot project, but it's working really well.
Yeah.
And it just helps the people who are at the point where they're like, okay, I want to open. I love jujitsu. Maybe I'm teaching somewhere else or
Yeah.
whatever. I'm running a community program, but I
Yeah.
don't have a dedicated location. But I want to take the next step in taking this serious.
Yeah.
We just started this program recently,
Mhm.
and so far so good. It's been
Yeah.
going. It's been going good.
Yeah.
And it actually kind of came to be from
It was organic.
that fifth degree black belt that I had like worked with originally.
Because we started from
Um,
square one with him.
Because we started, yeah, he was in another place, kind of like running something,
Getting
and
screwed.
yeah, poor guy, and then we helped
Brutal.
him, for all the steps from not having a gym to getting his gym, and there's a lot of tough decisions that came in, with him, but man, it's going awesome right now. And then we just started running it as a pilot, because we had 2 or 3 other people reach out to us, say like, hey, I don't have my own space yet, but I'm really interested in working with you guys because I want to do things right off from the start.
Yeah.
You know, and me and Sam needed to talk and figure out like, okay, how are we going to do this? And that's where we came up with the startup program, and yeah, a couple of people enrolled in that already, so it's going great.
Yeah.
And do you work? Sorry about that, Sam. Go ahead.
Okay, I know you asked how long we've both been training, so I've been training for 4 years. I'm purple belt.
4 years.
She won World Masters open weight last year, though.
Fuck, sick. That's awesome. Did you go this year?
No, but we'll be next year.
Yeah.
Lots of training to do before that, because I'm going to try my stab at adult worlds, because I usually compete at adult as well. So
yeah, of course. That's a lot of fun. Do you focus primarily on jiu-jitsu, or do you do other martial arts? Like, do you cross over and help other gym owners in other disciplines?
This guy's a Muay Thai crew and Muay Thai coach. So we have Muay Thai clients as well. So some of our clients have both disciplines, but almost all of them are either jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, or jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah.
We have a couple of Muay Thai only gyms as well. We're not like the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym consulting company. We're a martial arts consulting company.
Yeah.
You know, the principles that like we use could really help any martial arts school. But what we do find is that the new school of martial arts, which is like Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, MMA, they're the guys that are in need of the business help the most. So
yeah, I mean, there's, like I said earlier, there's so many ways you could run a school. There's so many ways you could target different audiences or whatever. When did you know, like, so okay, let's just bring it back to, like, I don't know, purple or brown belt Nick. I assume you competed, or you're focusing on your own development, and then around that time you're probably like me, you're like, hey, I really want to make a career out of this. I would love to just do jiu-jitsu and sort of escape the system and work for myself or whatever. Like, when did you know that you wanted to switch from your own development, your own entrepreneurship, and like start helping others?
By the way, European champ. He won't tell you that, but
what's that?
European champ. He's the European champion 2021.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sick. That's awesome. What weight class are you?
Ultra.
I was ultra. I'm the littlest ultra. I'm the littlest ultra. So.
You're like, you should be super, but you're like, no, I just want to eat donuts and stuff.
Yeah. That's actually like,
Italian.
That's it. Yeah. Italian. I'm like looking, I'm like the super guys are a lot tougher than the ultra guys. I'll be faster than the ultras,
Totally.
But like way too small, because like the year I won Europeans, I don't know if I like got lucky or whatever, but I went to Worlds that same year because I'm like, okay, I won Euros, like I can medal at Worlds. I showed up to Worlds and I was like looking at the guys like a head above me, and like
we were both like
their bones like as thick as this water bottle. You know what I mean? I'm like
I know,
and they're like,
they're huge.
They're huge.
I'm going against you next. I'm like, oh yeah, awesome. Like, and then like my, luck. Because I won Euros, I think the way I got like seeded is I got to buy the first round. And then second round, my match, I won ref's decision. So like incredibly close. And then the next round I lost by advantage. Again, like I was just too small against these guys.
Yeah.
And, if I would have been a super, I was just like, man, I need to get to super. So this year we were focusing on legacy anyways, because like legacy exploded.
We're exploding. We're so busy.
So we just said, okay, we're going to focus on legacy this year, take some time. I was going to drop some weight, get healthier and not eat donuts all the time, and, get into the super heavy for next year.
But when did you start to the business shift.
Oh, the business shift. Yeah. To helping others like you. So I've been doing from a young age, I had decided to pursue Brazilian Jiu Jitsu professionally. So it was like I was like 18 or 19. Basically, as soon as I started learning it, I said, I don't want to do anything else. I dropped out of college. And it was me and my teacher at the time. And I was with him when he didn't even have a school. I was like learning from him in his basement, and he was teaching out of karate schools and traditional jiu-jitsu schools. And then he opened up a school, and like we didn't know what we were doing. Our sales process was like the guys would come in and he would be like, okay, so this guy came in here, so we're gonna beat him up real good. He's gonna be so impressed from us beating him up. He's gonna sign up.
For sure.
Yeah.
You know, he's for sure gonna. And like, so he would be like, hey, you know, nice to meet you. You get the guy fill out the waiver. Hey, this is Nick. He's going to be your training partner. And he would be like telling me to like, he'd be like giving me the sign, the triangle sign to like triangle the guy, you know, and then we'd be like, you know, so after we would say, you know, oh, okay, so what'd you think? You know, like,
He's like,
you know,
I'm
the
never
guys are
coming
like,
back.
I'm never coming back. So he actually was like, I would say, you know, like, he was probably one of the pioneers of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu business in Canada, because he went and got the knowledge from a whole bunch of different sources and started bringing guys in to teach us how to do things properly, because we weren't doing things properly. And, you know, I was like his best friend growing up. So, you know, I helped him build, like, he had a bunch of schools. He had 7 schools at the height of it. And I was the GM of the 7 schools. So as he grew and learned the business, I grew with him, you know, and that's how I began to have that knowledge. And he started a consulting company. I started working for him at first. And then, you know, years go on, time goes by, and people go their own separate ways. And that's what led to me starting Legacy. You know, and I started Legacy, and I only had 4 gyms that I was helping. And I'm proud to say this, I still have those original 4 gyms as clients to this day. And some of them have been with me like 10 years total, because even though Legacy is only 5 years, I was doing consulting before that.
Yeah.
And I just recently helped one of the owners of I called them the original 4, in Legacy. I just recently helped one of them sell their school. Just recently, like literally this week.
Yeah.
So,
and one of the original 4 coaches for us. So now we have 2 other coaches that mentor our clients, because we're not like just buy this course and good luck. Like, we do have online courses to supplement our mentorship program, but you get a mentor, you get a coach, and you meet with them regularly, and you have calls, and they're there for you as a resource. So Nick does it obviously as well, but we have 2 now that we hired that are, you know, like our highest achieving clients.
it's like jiu-jitsu, easier with a teacher, right? Like easier with the teacher in class, learning, meeting them every week, giving you milestones that you need to reach, and holding you accountable. Like, everybody knows, like, oh yeah, I'm going to learn. What would you rather learn from, an instructional or read a book? Learn jiu-jitsu through reading a book? Man, it's like impossible. It's not impossible, but extremely difficult. Lots of trial and error, right? When you have a teacher or a mentor who's done it before and helped countless others do it as well, like with a proven system, like it's just much easier. It's no brainer, you know?
Right. So maybe we could get into like the nuts and bolts of what you do. Let's say I need help with on-guard jiu-jitsu. I'm not reaching the profits that I want to reach, and I want to improve like morale inside the gym. I know you take more, your approach is different from other marketing companies. And I know because I've been approached by any gym owner with an Instagram handle gets messaged by Pakistani gi manufacturers almost daily. And on a weekly or monthly basis, they're getting messaged by like marketing consultants who are trying, it's all what they're pushing is always, I'll get you more leads, I'll get you more money. It's always about more people coming through the door. It's not really an emphasis on a quality of leads or the culture of the gym, whereas your approach seems to be more of a holistic approach. You were mentioning earlier about how there's like an ecosystem within the gym, and you want to make a healthy ecosystem that kind of provides like a perpetual cycle of success from the bottom up, rather than just like, oh, I'll get you 40 new leads, right? So let's say I came to you and I said, okay, Nick and Sam, I want to hire you. What are some of the things that you would check for first? What are some of the big mistakes you see gym owners do, and how, like, what is your process?
I'll let you go first.
Oh, there's a lot to unpack.
There's a lot to unpack.
Because okay, so if I started working with you, what would I start with? First, you'd be understanding your numbers. Yeah. So like I need to understand your numbers from a point of expenses. Okay, so I need to see all your expenses, because that's a part of your story. It tells me the story of the gym. So I look at all the expenses and I say, okay, that's what we're working with here. Then I look at all the things that like generate us money. So I'm going to say, okay, well, do you have gear packages? You know, when people sign up, yes or no? Do you sell your own gear? Yes or no? Do you source your own gear? Yes or no? Do you make 100% on your own gear? Yes or no? I'm going to look at all the different things you do to make money. Okay, so that tells me the one story of your expenses, and then it tells me the other story of how you're making money. Okay, and then I'm going to get you to take me through, okay, like, do you have a grading system? Like, what are you doing to retain your students? Like for kids, do you have a grading system for your kids? How often are they graded? What else are you doing to keep your kids? Oh, what do you mean? I just teach classes. Okay, well, nothing. So you do nothing. Okay, so let's talk about what else you can do. You know, it's October, are you having a Halloween party for your kids? Well, why would I do that? I teach martial arts. Then we start to go into, it's about more than just the classes. It's about building the community, okay, and creating memories that like last a lifetime. Like more of those memories are created than just on the mats, okay. And are you involving the parents in the kids' classes? Well, how do I do that? Well, I help you do that. You know what I mean? Do you have a calendar for the year? Yeah, I have a calendar. I'm like, okay, but do you have events in your calendar for the year? Like not just a physical calendar, you know, like we need to know, like, what are we doing every month, you know, to retain our students, to help our students, to build our community? What are we doing to get new members into our community as well? Okay. And how do we structure it in a way that doesn't take away from our current members, but also continues to build our school in a healthy way? Yeah. You know, like, and I don't want to talk smack about other consulting companies, but I am. And these guys who like advertise, I'm going to get you like 20 new leads. Like, okay, buddy, like,
who gives a shit?
It doesn't matter. Yeah. Because they don't know. You don't have a good intake to enrollment process, which is like, as soon as you get the lead, what are you doing to take care of that person? And I say it like sarcastically because they don't educate people on this. Mm-hmm. And in Legacy, we're using it as education. After you're done working with us for like 2 or 3 years, I would say to get through the whole system properly, it's about 3 years. And then you don't need us anymore. Okay. But most people keep us because of the accountability, you know, the pressure to keep them climbing, to keep on doing better.
And we're iterating too, right? And learning from our clients and learning from the different things that we do and how to make it better and what works and what's more effective and that kind of thing too. But to piggyback what he said, like, it's interesting when you mentioned like top down versus bottom up. Like we're very bottom up. Like we're not a marketing company, so we're not going to run Facebook ads for you or do anything like that. But we're going to say, do you have a lead generating website? Oh, what's that? Okay, this is what a lead generating website. We have, we know of, you know, a few companies that can do it for you. But like, if you didn't have a lead generating website, it's the difference between maybe getting 10 leads or visits to your site versus like 40 or 50, right? Like one of his gyms doesn't even do paid ads because
they don't need to,
because he gets 50 leads per month just from having the lead generating website. So it's like those little things. Also, we have something that we created called the 12-month profit playbook. And the name's kind of a misnomer because it's not just about profit. Like everything that we do has to be a win-win-win. Has to be a win for your current students, has to be a win for you, whether it be, financially or for retention. It has to be a win for new people coming in. So like every month out of the year, we have things that you could do to not only make more money, keep your current students happy, and get new people in your school. So there's something we can do for all of that. And so it takes a lot of time to unpack all of that, but we kind of like, we get all the like he said, expenses and your rent and all this, but we also take into account like how many members do you have? How many people, how many trials are you signing up? How many trials are you booking per month? Like we have to know all these things to say, okay, you have a sign up problem or you have a lead problem. And then we can help you figure out, okay, what do I need to do to get more leads? Do I have a lead generated website? No. So all these like decision trees that we help you with, but it's a very holistic approach. We also help we visit schools and do instructor training too. It's instructor training with something called Tribalnomics. So we really, it's a great team building, like getting everybody on the same page in your jiu-jitsu school, your instructors. And a lot of times the schools that hire us will have us do it for not just the instructors, but like anyone who's interested in becoming an instructor to help build the team. So we really do take a bottom-up approach.
Yeah. It's time consuming. The instructor's course and the Tribalnomics course one day. It's like a 9-hour day of like learning, but man, it goes by fast, and the reviews from every person are always like, they're like minds blown. But in short, we need to look at you, Matt Kwan, and we need to look at your gym as an individual gym, and see like where you're struggling, because you have strengths. Like any gym owner has certain strengths. Okay, what are you really good at? You're really good at these things. Okay, good. What are you not so good at? Okay, these things. Okay, what can we set up that takes the work out of these things you're not so good at to help your business succeed? Okay, easier or faster. Okay, it's not about speed necessarily, but like for instance, like some gym owners, they start with us and I'm like, okay, which billing software are you using? They're like, I don't use the billing software. I'm like, okay, how do you bill your students? They're like, I punch in their credit card every month in the debit machine, and that's how I charge them. I'm like, you can't do that anymore. Like, we're going to get you set up with a billing software, so you don't need to do that anymore. As an example, I take that away from them. They don't need to worry about it, and they just enter the person's information in. Boom, that's one less thing they need to worry about or take care of. Lead generating website. I did a reel on this. How many gym owners that sign up? And I'm like, who made your website? They're like, I did. I'm like, oh, you're
one of my students.
Or they're like, I did. I'm like, oh, you're a graphic designer, or you have a degree in computer engineering or something like that. They're like, no. And I'm just like, you're great at teaching martial arts. Let's keep you doing that. There's companies out there that have professional martial arts websites that will generate 30 to 40 leads for you a month. Let's pay them, they're $200 a month, and they'll do better by you, hands down, every single month. And you don't need to worry about it, You get your student to do it, then you need something changed, but you don't pay your student, and then you're asking the student to change it, then they never change it, or it's 3 weeks before they get back to you because they don't train at your gym anymore, and they don't, you know what I mean? Like, I've heard this story too many times.
Let's just talk about like your instructor's course that you're discussing. So like, if you were going to go teach an instructor's course, I assume you're teaching more than just like actual jiu-jitsu. Like what exactly do those courses, like, just give me like a very loose structure of what that day might look like.
So, now when we teach the instructor's course, we always teach Tribalnomics first. Tribalnomics, like there is no better resource that I've found. The book is written by Justin Garcia. You may find it difficult to understand. Everybody who I've told to read the book, they're like, man, I don't get it. But I was taught by Justin Garcia Tribalnomics. And basically what it is it gives you a formulaic approach to understand the tribes in your life. How, what's my overlap with people? How do I know I have overlap with people? How do I create overlap with people? How do I know if somebody's offset with me? Offset mean they don't really fit with me. You know what I mean? And like, for instance, we've all had people in our gym that keep on breaking the rules, but they're a nice person. They're a nice person, nice enough person, but they break the rules. Whether it's they walk in with their shoes on, they've got a stinky uniform, this, that, like Tribalnomics helps you understand, right? You're laughing, right? Because we all have, like Stinky Roger, like at our gym, but Tribalnomics helps you understand from a formulaic approach to work with people and understand like, okay, there's too much offset here for us to have a functional relationship with this person. And how do we downgrade that alliance with that person? How do we release that person from us without, burning the bridge, let's say, or how do we leave the bridge open with that person? And how do we know, who's putting more energy into the gym and deserves more attention? Yeah. Because like if somebody's helping you out a lot, they deserve more attention, and Tribalnomics helps understand the mission of the tribe and the parts of the tribe that make it functional. Whether that's a tribe of yourself, whether that's a tribe of your family, or whether that's a tribe of your gym, the principles are universal, but the meanings are different. The way you would treat the people in your gym are different than the way you treat the people in the tribe of your family. But there's still the same principles are present. So that's the first thing we go over. And then the second thing we cover is the instructor's course. Very mechanical in the way of like, here's chapter 1. First most important thing you need to know about your student is their name, why they're training at your school, and something about them. And yes, you need to know that about every single student if you actually care about your students. Like as an example, that is like chapter 1.
We go over with. And we go about proper pairing and how to deal with incidents and issues and all these different things. It's much more mechanical. Mm-hmm. With Tribalnomics, we really focus on, we talk about the tribe of self and family, but we focus on the context of the gym tribe because we have all of the leaders of that particular school there, right? And we need them to speak the same language and understand what the mission of X school is. And what's interesting is like a good example of one we did recently, like a bunch of guys were like taking their shirts off all the time and walking around. It's like, what's the mission of this school? Does that align with the mission of the school? It's a place where everyone is welcome, families, things of that nature. Does that align with the mission? So it helps you say, okay, like, are they in align with the mission? Like, okay, no, like we're going to have to deal with that, have a conversation, but it helps the team be like, okay, this is what our mission is. And we have to all be on the same page with that because then we know like how to interact with people in that way.
Yeah. If you're like, for instance, like the mission of my school is a place where positive learning environment where everyone feels welcome. Okay. So if I got guys running around like no shirts on, okay, after training, standing around, well, how does that make the girls feel? Is that like where everyone feels welcome? Yeah. That's offset of the mission.
I mean, they might be welcome to take their shirts off too. I'm just joking. It's a bad joke.
Whoa. Well, like,
come train at On Guard, guys. Girls are welcome. Tarps off every night.
But this is like a major question that we get. Like we had a school that had wrestling in it. And like wrestling, it's like very common, take your shirt off, whatever. Like,
yeah,
shirts, this is skins, And I'm like, no. And they're like, why? And I just asked them, the girls in the room. I'm like, how do you feel when they do that? She's like, uncomfortable. I'm like,
it's
hey
not
guys,
very attractive.
How many girls, do you guys have in your gym? Not many. I'm like, that's why, that's why you don't. Like, keep your shirts on. And I guarantee, like, Moms will feel more comfortable. Everybody's going to feel
Yeah.
more comfortable
Yeah.
in training inside of your school. Like, and it's just proper.
Yep. And
You
it
know?
helps people identify, because we all have a mixture of different traits, right? Like I know you're probably a leader in your school, and then, like Nick is obviously a leader. We have nurturers and we have warriors, and warriors are very role based. So like me, I'm very high on the warrior trait. I have no problem going up to someone and being like, don't do that, move away, like stop doing that. You're training too hard, because that protects the tribe. We have to have those people that go and say, you can't do that. You can't train like that. You can't put your shoes there, because if someone gets injured training, they're probably going to leave. They're going to quit. So you need to have those people that be like, hey, stop doing that. We also need the nurturers who are like, oh, you're a new person. Welcome. We're so happy to have you.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be super nice. Like we all have a mixture of these, but our training helps people understand kind of where they fit and the value in all of it. Like there's value to each one of those roles.
Mm-hmm.
And also, who is the leaders on their team? Like who handles the issues? Like what's the hierarchy? Like if I have an issue and I'm an instructor, who do I go to? So we really help them like work through and figure out the who's who and the what's what, like on their team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The
That's
instructor's
awesome.
course, is very good. Gives them a system.
Yeah.
Gives them a system and a standardization of like, okay, this is like the minimum that needs to be followed, for this. And then the school owners can decide if they want to add something or take something away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like the word that comes to my mind is like you said, like ecosystem, where everyone kind of has a role, and naturally different personalities kind of play these different roles, and it's good to kind of look at how they all fit into one healthy tribe, I guess would be the language to use.
Yeah.
Can we like role play for a sec? Like, can I give you a scenario and ask you to sort of what you might do in this situation? So
Sure.
in my, I've had my gym since 2015. Excuse me. I've been going full time now for like 7 or 8 years. Okay. Since I quit my job. And, one of the things that I have come across time and time again would be like, let's talk about kids program for a sec. I've had a couple times where there's been kids that have been overly aggressive. And sometimes acting like out of instinct and not having very good impulse control. And so some kids will come in and they have like certain conditions where they're overly aggressive, or they might want to retaliate. I've had a situation where a kid got arm barred, and the girl who arm barred him, when she threw the leg over the head, it kind of like chopped down on his head. And it wasn't that bad. I saw the whole thing. And then he responded by kicking her in the face after he tapped out. And he had multiple situations. I had spoken with him before. I basically ended up ejecting him from the program because I felt that it was a safety issue. I had given him multiple warnings, and because he was retaliating out of anger, it wasn't like an accident. He was pissed because her foot had hit his head, and instead of recognizing it as a mistake, he kind of took it as a personal threat and he retaliated. And I had talks to him before, so I kind of ejected him from the program. So that's sort of like one scenario. Another situation would be a parent is adding a toxic quality to the room that is negatively affecting the training and affecting the environment, and overall, I guess, negatively affecting the tribe. So like in these types of situations where you're dealing with a difficult student or a difficult parent who's kind of disrupting the environment of the room, how do you like to approach situations like that?
Great question.
Yeah, these are two great scenarios. So first of all, and we cover this in tribonomics, we call it like check consequence. Okay. So the check is like the person needs to be called, like, for instance, the misbehaving child needs to be called on it every single time. Like the behavior must be checked every single time. And a lot of us make the mistake. We see the red flags. Okay. Red flag, don't address. Red flag, don't address. Red flag, don't address. And then they do something over the top where we should have just checked them on the first red flag. Do you understand? Okay. And
Absolutely.
this is for kids, is also for adults as well. So you got to check the behavior you immediately, and you should do it with the red flag. Hey, don't do that.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to
Sorry,
do
can
that.
you elaborate on like checking the behavior? So let's say you're an instructor, you're running a kids class, and you see like a common one I always see kids do. They love play, right? So like anytime it's in between rounds or they're fixing their belt, they're getting water. Occasionally, I'll see another kid, and he'll sort of just like slew foot one of the kids and like trip him, like just harmlessly, but also at the same time, is like there is kind of a safety concern. It's similar to like I'm sure you've seen this kids, they get overzealous in training. They're having fun with their buddies, and then like they'll jump on someone's back, right? And that's like a huge safety issue. You're not expecting someone to fucking jump on your back, and then they do that. So like you see something like that, can you describe how you would correct or discipline that child?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and it always depends on the infraction, right? Like the seriousness of the infraction. And like what I mean by that is like the kid jumping on the other kid's back. I'd say, hey, everybody stop. I need you to get off his back right now. Okay, everybody on the wall, 5 seconds, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'd keep little Billy with me and just say, like, hey, you can't do that. Okay, it's dangerous. Do you understand? Do you understand why it's dangerous? He's probably going to be like, yes, I shouldn't have done that. Okay, as long as you understand, but I can't have you do that again. Do you understand that? Yes. Okay, go back to the wall.
So you put
Okay,
them on the
like,
spot and you reiterate over and over. There's a repetition quality to it when you're disciplining.
but for the boy that kicked the girl in the face, like I think, you, whether you knew it or not, you already followed a formula. I would just clean up the formula and, would challenge you and say, hey, you know what? Should you have checked this kid probably earlier several times? Answer is probably yes, because I've lived through the same situation, and it's always us waiting too long. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? By the time we kick these guys out, they should have been kicked out five interactions ago.
Mhm.
So my best advice to you is to check the behavior first and foremost, like as soon as you can. When the second check comes around, I would not only check the behavior, but I'd also have a conversation with the parents and
Yes.
let them know that, hey, listen, we got a consequence incoming. Okay. And depending on what their behavior is going forward, like depends on the severity of the consequence, and I think you did it absolutely the right way. And people will argue and say, well, that kid needed jujitsu. That's why he has anger problems. No, you, the consequence is a part of the learning.
Hmm.
By you not consequencing the child or the adult, even for that behavior, okay, you are taking away the lesson from them
Hmm.
because of whatever story you tell yourself in their mind. You're taking away the benefit of the lesson that they need to learn by being kicked out. I was kicked off of a sports team before as a kid. I will never forget that. I will never forget the behavior that led to me getting kicked off of that team. Those are valuable lessons that I feel like nowadays in society, we're trying to like devoid our kids of. They can't fail and participation ribbons. Like, no, you need to lose to learn,
You're
you
100%
know?
right.
So that I think you handled that great. My only advice, is to challenge you is to like check people earlier.
Hmm.
Okay. You don't need to be rude about it, but
Yeah.
we call it the feedback loop of reality. You're going to get feedback. You're in the gym, you're going to get feedback.
Are
Okay.
you like a three
And
strikes kind of guy in a situation like that?
it depends, right? Kid pushes another kid, don't do that. Kid pushes another kid, don't do that. Kid pushes another kid, go sit out.
Yeah. No, like
Then I'm
let's
going to
say
go.
let's say we're talking about like because I've had kids like I said that kid he was known for like when he was framing from the guard he would kick people. He would kick them in the chest to make space. And I realize he's acting out of instinct and he's also new. So he's getting fucked up and he's like, okay, I don't want to get my guard pass. I need to manage the distance. And he was kind of
Yeah.
abrasive and he didn't realize that he was kicking. And I checked that. That happened like 2 or 3 times. But when he kicked that girl in the face and he did it out of anger, I realized, I'm like, okay, that time was not because you were improperly framing. It was because
Yeah.
you were angry that fucking you got armbarred, and because her leg touched your face and you retaliated. So for me, I saw a certain malice. There was he was mean about it, and he wanted revenge, and that's when I was like, okay, this is kind of the last straw. I've given you like 2 or 3 chances. Like if you see someone hitting, especially in a situation like grappling where there is no hitting, it's known there's no hitting, you know you're not allowed to hit. Like how many times would you let that continue
No.
before it's finally time to eject that kid?
Yeah, like that, you doing that and seeing that, like you ejected him at the perfect right time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
I think
if you're
I think so
like,
too. And I talked to the parent too, and I was and the thing is, the kid had mental sort of issues. The kid was getting bullied by people in his life, and the real sad thing is, as a gym owner, I'm sure you've been here. If you ever had to eject a kid, is it's like, man, jujitsu would be so good for this kid. Like I was seeing improvements. I was seeing him learning how to lose. I was seeing these little flashes of like brilliance, and that made me want to keep him in. But at the same time, I'm like, how can I keep someone in when I've told you in plain language, and I've said there's consequences. I said, hey, we can't allow this. If you do this, this is what will happen. I will have to kick you out. And then you're sort of
so
in this dilemma where it's like, man, this kid could use jujitsu in their life. It could help them so much. But for the sake of the tribe, or for the sake of the group, to keep people, and even for my own fucking mental health, because I would come in every day, this kid would be a nightmare to coach sometimes, right? And I'm
sure,
like,
for sure.
and then once I ejected him, just everything became calm again. Everything became smooth again. It was such a, honestly, it was, I knew it was the right choice, right? But it's just like,
Yeah.
it's sad when you
It,
see
it,
that and you want to help someone and you can't.
you know, and this is like why you're a great teacher, why you're a great martial artist, why you're a great person, you know, because you have that heart. You're trying to help everybody, you know, and I feel that's what's at the core of the majority of us that own martial arts schools, and that's what makes our schools amazing. However, that being said, like, you know, I think it's like a Star Trek saying or something. It's for the good of the whole, not the good of the one. You know, that's the first thing, and then the second thing, like there is other ways to help these kids, like, you know, and again, like always, hindsight's 2020. Could have suspended him for 45 days and said, you know, mom, you want Billy to train? He can only do private lessons with me because that's like where he fits,
It's a
and he
safety
doesn't
issue.
fit in with the class right now. Yeah, it's $100 an hour, and yeah, I recommend an hour a week, and that's what I tell you. You know, like, and that's not me trying to make more money. That's just me being real. That like you're no longer allowed to take part in the group classes due to your behavior. Okay, so this is what you can do, but you're suspended. And when you get back from your suspension, this is the only way you can work until we develop trust again. And, you know, we can look again in 6 months or a year, you know, when you've proved to me that you're ready to go back into class. You know,
Mm, yeah.
that's another way you can handle
I
it as
had
well.
one,
You know, like,
I had one child who was so competitive with one particular other kid in the room, and they're around the same size, but the other kid was just more skilled, just has more training, and the roles would get real competitive, and the kid would get so competitive that he would fight tooth and nail, and it was a damn good exchange every time, a wrestling exchange, but I would say 95% of the time he would end up losing the exchange. And then at the end he would start crying, and so I'm like, hey, so and so, you can't, you're crying because you're losing. When we cry, it's because something has deeply hurt us, and that's okay. But if you're losing in the training room and you're crying, this shows me that you're not mature enough to come to the competition class, because this kid was quite young. And the competition classes that we do, like, I'm going against Sacred Helio here. Like in competition class, I teach leg locks to kids. I introduce leg locks at a young age. I'm like, you guys aren't going to be able to use these for years, but these
yeah,
moves are now part of the modern jujitsu landscape. And if you learn them, you will learn different areas of the game that a lot of kids aren't learning. So my goal is to be able to like spend an hour a week where we do talk about like heel hooks and things with these kids. And and it takes a certain level of maturity to be able to be in that environment. And I say the comp class is an extra class a week that you are not entitled to. You have to demonstrate behavior to be there. And so I had to give this kid a suspension because it was getting too much, where his emotions in the class would negatively affect the whole class. You know, he starts crying. Everyone thinks, oh, holy shit, this kid got hurt. But no, he's not hurt. He's just mad that he lost. So I said, hey, you need to take, we'll talk about taking like 3 weeks off and then show me that you can return to class and train with so-and-so. You could show me you can do that, and that you can overcome losing to this person, because you are putting so much pressure on yourself to beat this kid in training that it's negatively affecting everyone. And so we did that. He did the suspension. He came back, and I have seen noticeable improvement. So I believe that suspending is a good thing, but that infraction is different from, let's say he starts punching or hitting, right? Like that's, being upset that you lose is one thing, but to start actually like physically assaulting another kid who's not expecting to get punched or kicked, that's like, in my eyes, that's like one of the worst infractions you could do.
Yeah. So for the boy who's crying, and I'm not saying you handled this wrong. I think you handled it great, and it turned out great, and all that works. But in the instructor's course, we talk a lot about mat chats, and mat chats are about talking about an issue without publicly executing somebody. So, the situation happens, the boy trains hard, the other boy's crying or whatever. I would just ask, are you hurt? He's like, no. Okay, then wipe your face and get on the wall. Okay, guys, everybody sit down. Guys, great training session. Everybody did amazing. I want to talk about something. When we have a training partner that can push us right to the edge every time, that we have to chase, that they're better than us, and 9 times out of 10, they quote unquote beat us, even though there's really no losing in the training room. It's just training with your teammates. You need to be grateful for that training partner. You need to understand that that training partner is going to make you the best version of yourself in jiu-jitsu. Okay. And we need to not, think this is my adversary, this is my opponent. Okay. I should be grateful and happy to train with this person because they bring out the best in me. They are going to make me the most competition ready. And that's what this class is about. And we need to remember that we need all members of the team. We need the guys who are not as good as us for us to work our new things. And we need the guys that are better than us to push us to be the best that we can be. And that is the true value in the team. So that's what we call mat chat. So that's like educating everybody. And everybody needs to hear that. Everybody needs to hear that and have that gratitude for their training partners. But he knows we're talking to him, but we're talking to him without publicly executing him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How often do you have these mat chats, and do you do it right after an incident, or would you just do it at the end of class a couple times a week just to reiterate values outside of fighting?
You know what? Like, bro, you could do it every class, because you know what? There's always a lesson to share. In that situation, it was that, in a class that I taught recently, an advanced class, and we had a lot of like junior white belts, coming into the advanced class.
Is this adults or kids we're talking about here?
This was adults, but I still do a mat chat for adults. So because we were doing guard, theme of the week was guard. So in my advanced class, they start close guard. Okay, top of the bottom, half guard. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows close guard. Everybody understands half guard. They understand the position. Okay, collar sleeve, foot on hip, foot on bicep. Then you start to see like some of the white belts are like, oh, okay, like I kind of know that. Okay, De La Hiva. And then they're like, oh, I don't know what to do. Oh, single leg X. Like I show them how to set it up. Here's where your grips are. Okay, now we fight. Top person pass, bottom person, you need to work. And one of the white belts came to me after, or during rather, and he was just like, Coach, like, man, I just like feel like I shouldn't be in here. Shouldn't be in this class. I said, no, that's incorrect. You should be in this class. I go, but you need to see it to begin to know it. You need to be exposed to what you don't know, to know where you need to focus to improve on, to have an idea of what these things are. I'm like, what you need to look at like tonight as like the the taste tester of all the different guards. Which one did you like? Which one didn't you like? Which one don't you know? Okay. But now you got exposed to like 10 different guards tonight. You're going to know, what you didn't know, and what you would like to know. And that was the purpose of tonight. The higher belts got to work on all their different guards that they do know. De La Hiva, single leg X guard, 50-50, spider guard, and because it's a long class. It's like an hour, 15-minute advanced class. So they got to work on those things. And that was a mat chat. But I did that mat chat with everybody at the end. And I said, hey guys, I was talking to a student today, and I just reiterated the same lessons that I told him personally, because the whole class could take value from his feelings, and the way he felt and where the lessons were in understanding where the benefit was in seeing all those different types of guard.
And whether it's an adult or a kid, and you do these mat chats, I'm just wondering the body language of the mat chat. Like, do you have everyone sit on their butts? Do you have them sit down and you are standing? Like, what kind of how do you portray yourself during these mat chats?
Usually in the lineup.
Yeah, it's really, it's up to you. Like at the end of the class for adults is always in the lineup.
Okay. So they're standing on the wall or whatever.
Yeah. But like, there's like things like, and again, we teach this in the instructor's course, like sharing personal experiences. Okay. So like, say you're teaching a technique and it helps your students listen. Like I've learned, I don't know I trained with Bernardo Faria. Okay. So before I teach over underpass, I'm like, hey guys, okay, so we're going to learn the over underpass. And, I was up at Bernardo Faria's a couple weeks ago, and, he's a 5-time world champion, and he's used this pass to like lead him to his world championships. He's a great guy, and, tell the story before. That's also a mat chat, believe it or not, but that helps you establish the leadership status with your students other than just teaching the technique. Because then everybody's like, oh yeah, Bernardo Faria, I know that guy. That's a BJJ Fanatics guy. And they draw the connection. They begin to listen and hear the story of how you've learned the technique and who you've learned it from. And it builds a better connection with them in their mind to the technique, and these are other things we teach in the instructor's course.
Yeah.
But that other situation where you're talking about the toxic parent, can you just repeat that again? And then I'll take you through just a quick how to deal with that.
All right. So this situation, and again, this guy's not in the program anymore. Keep in mind, this is someone who has bounced around to multiple gyms. So he is kind of, in my opinion, he's kind of the common denominator, right? So he has his child is in the program. Child's very talented. And, he had already come from like 2 different schools, and he actually, he pulled his kid out of the program. I didn't kick him out. He pulled his kid out of the program, went to a different gym, almost left that gym, but is still there. So he's bouncing around. This guy I always thought was like, I had never had an issue with him, even though a friend of mine who owns a previous gym that he trained at, his kid trained at, this gym owner told me, hey, watch out for this guy. He's a hothead. And I'm like, really? Oh, he seems like a good guy. Like, didn't seem like an issue. Anyways, his son sort of picked up on some of these traits of anger and immediately took a disliking to a kid that was in my class. And he had claimed that this kid had grabbed his fingers when this kid was on his back. He was defending a choke and had grabbed his fingers. And this kid apparently it was an unforgivable offense to him. Okay. And this kid that he's attacking, by the way, from the back is much less skilled at the time and was just trying to survive, right? He's just doesn't know, not everyone in the moment when they're defending, maybe you grab like a finger or two fingers and it was just like an accident. And just really didn't like this kid. Okay. And I could see that this was happening. One day they were training and he was face cranking this kid. He was really like being physical with them. And then after the round, when it came time to fist bump, he slapped and then punched his hand like hard. And I could tell, I'm like, okay, there's a dislike here. So I brought the two kids after class. I brought them together and I said, listen, guys, like I can see that there's hostilities between us. I can see that there's issues in training, but I need you guys to kind of like what you said. I didn't do it as a mat chat. I did it just the two of them away from everyone else. And I said, listen, if you guys help each other, we can reach a really high level of jiu-jitsu, and we need to look at each other as teammates and not opponents. So I want us to take whatever kind of toxic, whatever kind of anger might be between us, and we need to be able to move ahead of this. This is not just a lesson in this training room, but in life. We need to learn how to coexist sometimes, and that doesn't mean we need to be best friends, but we need to respect each other. And I would like to be able to have you guys train together without there being an issue. And the kid who is the so-called dirty fighter, he was okay with this. He was like more than happy. And the other kid who didn't like him, he was not having this. And I said, guys, let's shake hands right now. And they shake hands. The one does it willingly. The other one does it not really willingly. And then I said, okay, can we say something about the other person that is complimentary? And so the one kid says, so-and-so, you got really good jiu-jitsu. Like I never feel like I can beat you. Your technique's really good. And then the other kid just sat there and like looked at me like, you fucking asshole, you're telling me to say something nice about this kid, and he had nothing to say. And so anyways, I go and talk to the parent about this. I talked to the kid who didn't like this was going on. And he was saying basically how, the other kid's a dirty fighter, and that basically I've told my son just say that again.
The parent said this to you.
Yeah. The parent, this guy, he said things about this kid, by the way, where I was like, okay, it's a good thing you're gone because, and this is not the incident why he left, but this was like one of the telltale things that I realized. I'm like, oh, okay, keep an eye on this guy. There was actually another incident, but this was not it. But I told him, hey, like, I tried to get them to talk. I tried to work things out and say, hey, I need there to be like less hostility in the training room. And then what he said was, oh, well, next time he goes with him, he's just gonna he's gonna try to fuck him up, basically. And so I wasn't getting the support from the parent off the mats, right? I wasn't getting that sort of mentorship from the father because unfortunately, like the mother's not there. The mother's not bringing the kid to the gym. It's always the father. And I wasn't getting that extra support. And so that's when I realized I was like, hey, how can I make these lessons stick when the kid's going home and the father's telling him to just beat the fuck out of the other kid because he's dirty, right? So, yeah. And then it came to a situation. Sorry, say that.
What was the age of the child?
I believe 7 or 8.
Yeah.
8.
So
it would have been actually like 8 or 9, I would say.
Yeah. So like kids like stages of development, I believe it's like 10 or 11, their logic really starts to kick in, hence the why questions. Well, why, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Like why, or I would like to understand more, you'll see like the kids who sometimes have the negative influence at home, but still have like good morals and values and are of a bit more of a mature age, like be able to discern like, hey, like my dad said this, but I know it's not right, so I'm not going to do that type of thing. But it's tough, man. Yeah, it's super tough. Sorry, continue. I just wanted to know the age
Yeah.
to draw context to be like, okay, well, if the child's like, 6 or 7, like at that age, you're just like an energetic soldier, okay, awesome, good, like,
Yeah.
let's go.
Right, right. And so what had happened was this kid, so I said, okay, you know what? Like, it's okay. I can't reach you. Let's just not have the two kids train. And that's fine. That's
Yeah.
what happened. They weren't training. I had spoken to both parents and they had both agreed, okay, let's keep the boys separate. That's fine. Then there was an incident where that same kid was wrestling with one of his buddies who's much bigger. Okay. And this kid tried to blast double his buddy, the guy who's way bigger. And during the grappling exchange, it got heated and he got kind of reversed and got slammed. So he was going in for a double and then he got reversed and got thrown hard. Okay. And
Yeah.
it hurt him. He was like, oh God, like my back or whatever. So after the session, what I had said was, I said, guys, like, and this was a time where there was a lot of competitiveness in the gym and in the training room. And I kind of needed to reel things back and say, guys, like we are trying to get ready for competitions. There's a high level in this room, but I want to reiterate safety. I was reiterating safety because it was getting to an unsafe level. And so I didn't publicly execute him. I just said, guys, when we get into an exchange, if it goes too spicy, if it gets too heated, I can't step in and stop something mid-action as you are in the middle of a fight. If your body has left the ground, I cannot catch you. If you're in a submission and you decide to try and like rip your way out of it, I can't always be there to be like, stop. I can't always do that. I'm always all over the room. I can't be everywhere at once. And so what I ask is that we have to toe that line between keeping things competitive, keeping things real, but also keeping things safe, because at the end of the day, we are teammates and we want to be able to train tomorrow. So a very valuable lesson for kids and adults is to regulate the tempo so that we're not going crazy on each other. We can still get good training and not kill each other, and we can avoid injuries. The father, that was the last straw. The father immediately gave me a call and said, hey, I got to pull my kid out because you said that that their safety is not a priority to you. And that's how he perceived the situation, is that I said, if you go crazy, I'm not responsible for your safety. I'm like, so-and-so, that's absolutely ridiculous. Every kid's safety in this room is my responsibility for that hour that they're training. But what I need everyone to understand is that I cannot always be there when an action is in mid-flight and someone gets hurt. How am I supposed to step in and be like, whoa, stop? When it's a heated exchange and then you get reversed and you get slammed. And this guy, again, reiterated about how I need to pull him out of the program because he's going to punch the other kid in the face as well, which is absolutely crazy, right? So instead of being like, no, son, don't punch your teammate in the face. We don't deal with people we don't like that way and reiterate values. Instead, he was like, yeah, I'm just going to pull you out and sort of affirm your behavior, right? And so this guy, he honestly, and again, once he left, he's not the only toxic parent I've ever dealt with, but things just got so much better, right? Things got way more healthy in the training room. So I'm not sure really what my question is just how would we deal with, like, let's say a parent who is not falling in line with your values, not reiterating the things that you're saying on the mats, and is overall difficult or creating a toxic presence in the room. Like, the kid might be one thing, but now there's a parent who is also feeding into the toxicity. So how do you address a situation like that?
Yeah. So first, just before we go into that, like I think you handled that, perfectly. I think it was perfectly fine, and I think you know you checking the guy even when he called, when he was like, and I think that's important too. No, that wasn't what was said. This is what was said. Just for like, let's clear the air here, okay? But no problem. We'll take you guys out of the program. We actually teach this in the instructor's course called like firing your student. Okay. You got to fire your students sometimes. Okay. It's a privilege to train at our schools and to be a part of our community and be a part of our team. And we as instructors need to always remember that. That's one. Number two, safety, like you said, is always the main concern. Safety is always the main concern for everyone. We teach in the instructor's course, what is the thing that people are most afraid of? They're afraid of injury or the fear of getting injured. So like if I'm in a place and it's like, sure, I haven't got injured yet, but I'm like, it's heated every single time I train, somebody's going to get injured. Just that fear of that situation and you not having those mat chats, like if you weren't having those, like you'd be losing more people. You know what I mean? And that's why we need to have the mat chats. That's why we need to educate people of the mindset of, in the particular classes that they're attending. So just wanted to touch on that before we talked about the, toxic parent. Toxic parent, just like kids acting out, they got to get checked. Okay. And if you hear somebody say something out of place, you check them. Hey, that's inappropriate.
Would you do it on the spot or would you do it in a private setting, like text them or call them after?
No. So face-to-face is always best. Okay. And again, we teach this in the instructor's course. There's like mat chats. What you did with the two boys is called a sniper chat. That's a chat that's private, but still on the mat. With that parent, you would have what's called an office chat. Okay, so that's a chat, maybe in the office or maybe when nobody else is around. And best practice is for you to have one other person there with you. So there's no like he said, she said. Mm-hmm. Okay, and we call that an office chat. And, we would pull them in and we would say, hey, John, know you got these, we overheard a comment that you made, to your child while training. First of all, that's inappropriate. Second of all, there's no coaching by parents. Okay. You're more than welcome to put on a gi and begin training and, do our instructor's course and understand what it takes to be someone on the mat who can coach if you'd like to coach your child.
We've actually had to tell parents that.
Oh yeah. I've had to tell parents that too.
And, they got to get checked, and that behavior is not appropriate here. And I just can't have you behaving like that again. Do you understand?
I got another situation for you, another toxic parent that comes out in my mind who I ejected from the program. And since they have gone to another school, it didn't work out. They tried to come back and I said, no, I can't have you here because the way you conduct yourself at tournaments and in the gym. In this particular instance, he has a daughter and he basically one time in class, he was not coaching from the side, but she was crying because she was having a hard training day. And this girl's, again, about the same age as the other boy. So we're getting into like 8, 9, 10 territory here. And he had said, so I guess the incident was she was crying, and on my wall I have a vinyl slogan on one of the walls. It says, what does it say? The fear of losing, no, the will to win has to be greater than the fear of losing, or something to this effect. Okay. And so anyways, during the class, he sees she's crying and he's like, he starts yelling and I'm like, what the fuck? And he's like, what does that sign say? Read it 10 times. And the other kids the rolling is not happening right now. We're now in between rounds. So it's quiet and we can hear everything he's saying. And it's very obvious to everyone in the room, including all the parents, that he is being inappropriate. Yeah. And in a situation like this, is it best, in your opinion, to address it on the spot, or is it better to have an office chat? Because if I don't address it on the spot, other people might assume that I never addressed it because it was blatant, like verbal abuse. We're talking here. We're not talking like coaching from the sideline. We're talking like this guy's yelling at his crying daughter, really stupid advice, to be honest. And so what I said to him, I in the moment, I looked at him and I said, so-and-so, I said, you cannot talk to your daughter like this in my room. I'm like, do you need to go outside? Because I didn't want to, I had some people who they messaged me after and they're like, I'm so glad you said something then. I'm so glad that I saw you say something then, because if you didn't, people would think you did not correct the situation. So let's say I let that happen, I don't say anything, and then I want to have an office chat after, other people might perceive that I kind of condoned or ignored the behavior. But I kind of had to, like, in the moment, I had to be like, hey, that's really inappropriate. You can't do that. And then I followed it up with a conversation later as well. I said, hey, we're getting to the point now where there has to be consequences. This is kind of the last infraction that I can handle here, because that's super inappropriate. And I feel bad. I feel like what you're doing to your daughter, and he had another daughter. I said, I feel like what you're doing is you're creating a situation where she must please you. Because she's always, I'm sure you have kids like this too. They roll and then they're always looking over at their parent for approval. They're always constantly looking to the dad or whatever for approval, constantly looking over for approval. And I'm like, that you are creating a situation where your child is now, I believe, developing a complex of they need to constantly get your approval. And what you did was fucking bullying. And what he was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It was so bad. I went home. I couldn't eat. I have mental issues, blah, blah, blah. But then he immediately pulled her out of the program and went somewhere else. Right. So in that situation, do you think that I was in the right to address it in that moment, or should I have?
You're 100%.
I thought so. Yeah.
You're, again, like we talk about tribalnomics, and again, like I and I apologize, I'm going probably over your time or whatever, but
no, it's good.
It's all about the mission. That guy, his behavior was not in line with the mission of the tribe of Matt Kwan and On Guard Jiu Jitsu, and his behavior was so, offset. It needed to be dealt with right then and there.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I saw a man hit his child, I would like run up and like grab his arm and be like, you can't do that. Like you can't do that here, and like, I don't know if I should even let go of you right now.
Yeah. I know.
What I mean? You had to make that decision at that moment, right at that moment. And I think you 100% made the right decision, and that behavior needed to get checked. And even if, that guy pulled his kid, this, that, whatever, it doesn't matter, because you followed the mission of Matt Kwan. You know what I mean? Like, you followed what resonated with you on being the best version of you. And that's taking care of your team and your tribe and your people and your kids.
Yeah.
Even maybe better in that moment than that father was of his own daughter, and he needed to get checked, and you checked him. And like many men, especially weak men, they don't like to get checked. It's hard, right? Because somebody's telling you, hey bro, you're being weak right now. Your behavior is weakness, and they can't deal with that. A strong man would have came back to you and said, you know what, Matt, you're right. And I'm sorry. I'm actually ashamed of my behavior. I'm going to be a better man. And I really appreciate you calling me on that right in that moment. I'm going to do the work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think we pretty much agree on like, those types of situations, how they should be addressed. Like there's a time to address it publicly, like in that situation where basically I need to stand up to a bully. Essentially, if I don't do it, it looks like I am neglecting the situation. And then I think there's other times where it might be appropriate, in less traumatic instances, where it's better to just take someone aside and have a private conversation. So I guess your program kind of, it will identify these types of situations and say when it is appropriate to talk in front of people, when it's appropriate to have an office chat, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. 100%. And there's other things, we haven't mentioned, like incident reports. Like, every time you have something like this happen, you got to document it, and we give you a report and you say, there's a report you got to fill out. These are all the details you got to put in it. Because like if something happened later, then the police had to be involved for whatever reason. Like for instance, a guy talking to his daughter like that, and then the daughter shows up in the next class, she got a bruise on her face,
Yeah.
And then you call CAS and you're like, so last week I kind of remember, but I don't remember. You understand what I'm saying? Where you should have documented this behavior because it's an incident that happened inside your school that was aggressive, that needed to be dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
You need to document it, and you document it in detail immediately after it happens to help protect your business. In this case, maybe to protect the child in case you need to talk to children's services later or the following week. Like the story I just cited, like the girl with the mark on her face, like I've lived through that, picking up a girl from school, 5-year-old little girl, she got a handprint on her face. And I'm like, hey, like what happened? She's like, oh, daddy hit me, and then I have to go back to the gym and I got to write an incident report. I got to call children's services, I had to have a conversation with the mother, about that as well. Like, we teach people how to deal with these things. This is like kind of like the non-glorious part, the non-fun part, but it's everything that gym owners need to be educated on.
In that type
you got to handle it right.
In that type of a situation, would it be a wise thing to not engage with the father, but rather just go around the father and engage with either the mother or child services or the police?
Yeah, that's what we did. That's what we did at that time. Then the father called me, probably felt guilty, a need to explain himself,
Listen, I got
I
caught,
didn't,
so therefore I'm sorry.
yeah,
Pretty much.
yeah. So, like he basically just admitted to me what he had did, probably out of fear, um, and just said, hey, I'm sorry. Like, yes, I lost my temper. I slapped my daughter. That's why she has a mark
My
on her
5-year-old
face. Yeah.
daughter.
And, yeah, it was anyways, it was a crazy, it was a long time ago now, but, yeah, I actually just called the mother and I said, hey, listen, your daughter's got a handprint on her face. I know your family. I love your family. I've taken care of your kids for years. I took care of the brother first and then they enrolled the daughter. So I had known their family for years. And I just said, I had to call children's services. I'm just letting you know that, because like, that's my duty for my, I'm taking care of your kids,
Mm-hmm.
and, she said that your husband hit her and, that's what I need to do.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So,
I mean, let's I just got maybe like a couple more questions for you. And of course I want to leave you to have any time to explain what else you do in your program and things like that. One of my questions,
yeah.
what do you think is the number one mistake that you see gym owners making nowadays?
Number one mistake, hiring companies that are telling them to like grease people for like $10,000 when they sign up. Like
Like a
I
lifetime
see
membership type thing?
You know what? I've sold lifetime memberships.
Yeah, I don't think
And I
that's
think
necessarily a bad thing if people are into it.
yeah. But I know there's this like theme going on, like teaching gym owners, like, hey, we're going to teach you to sell this high ticket thing for somebody who just came in, and you're going to get them for like $2,000 or $3,000 in their first week, like easy come, easy go,
Yeah.
and I know by just humans being humans, we're always looking for the fast track. How do I get everything yesterday? But the truth of the matter is, like, our business is just like jiu-jitsu. It takes time, man.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time. If you want a business that's sustainable long term, that doesn't happen overnight. That's number one. Number two, you don't acquire the knowledge to have that happen overnight. Okay. So like in jiu-jitsu, like why are you not a black belt in 3 years? Well, because it takes 10 years to get the knowledge. and to execute the knowledge and to communicate the knowledge properly. The same is true in the business. And I would just say to like other gym owners that are out there, like, listen, anybody who's saying hey, we'll get you 20, 25 new students. Like, yeah, they may, but like, if that's what they're selling you on and you're buying that, like, you're buying the wrong stuff. You need to buy a coaching program based on, I want to have a long-term sustainable business, a positive environment for all of my students, something that's going to change everybody's life who walks through the door and is repeatable and scalable for me and my staff. So I don't have to be in the gym like 100 hours a week. That, go find the coach that's going to teach you how to do that. But I got news for you. It takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time for us to teach you that. That would definitely be like, if you're like, what's my like advice to people who are thinking about coaching? You don't have to hire me, man. There's like, there's so many other martial arts consultants out there, but like, go talk to them, see what their program's about, get references from them. Like any good consultant would give you like 4 or 5 of their clients to talk to,
Yeah.
So aside from hiring legacy consulting, what do you think gym owners can do today, right now, that can immediately improve their business practice? Like, what is maybe the 1 or 2 pressing things that you think any gym owner can do that can improve how they're running operations?
If they don't want to hire us, what could they do? There's a lot of great books out there that have been written on being educated about martial arts business, like a ton of them, and picking up any one of those could help them right away.
Can you name any books or any resources you're talking about?
Oh man, like there's Small Dojo, Big Profits is a great one. I think it's by Mike Massie, I think his name is.
Yeah.
That's a great starting point.
Mm-hmm.
Also, a friend of mine who also does work for Legacy as well. His name's Chapman. He wrote I think 1 or 2 books. I forget the name of them right now, but Matt Chapman.
Master Matt.
Yeah.
He's all over Google.
Yeah. He's written a great book where it just like takes you through like the 1 through 100 of like different things you can do for your school. And I would say those are great starting points, but honestly, the coaching is the best. It's like, hey, I want to learn martial arts. So what video but I'm not going to join a gym. So what video or what book can I read is going to help me learn the martial arts the fastest? It's like, brother, man, you just got to suck it up and go to the gym, bro, because that's where you're going to learn the most, and if you want an even higher level of training in the gym, you go get a private lessons, 1 private a week from your instructor, or 1 private every 2 weeks from your instructor.
Yeah.
And that's where like having a coach or a mentor like really makes a difference. Like, if I'm sure you agree, if you have a student who's doing a private with you every 2 weeks, they're getting better faster than everybody else is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think too, to add on to that, like some of the biggest problems we see is that they're doing everything, their owner operator, because no one can do it as good as I can do it, is what they tell themselves. Like, that's kind of the story that they tell themselves. And while that may be true, like, you're not going to get any further by doing everything, because you can't, like, you'll burn out, right? Like, so you need to, even though it takes time, you have to put time and energy into developing your team, whether that's your instructors, your front desk person. You need to do it, because long as you just need to get them to be 80% of you, and that's going to make 100% difference in your daily operations. And part of that is creating systems. That's a big part of what we help people do, is we help them create SOPs for the things that need to get done. So if you don't hire a coach, I think you would agree, that's one of the biggest things you can do, is figure out, okay, what is my process for intake? What is my process for enrollment? What is my process for Instagram posts? What is my process for classes? Do I have a curriculum? Like, you can't give it to somebody else if you don't have written down or understand what it is you're doing if you're just flying by the seat of your pants all
Yeah.
the time. So like get organized, get a calendar, start writing down the shit that you need to do every day, writing down your processes, putting it in a book or for somewhere to access so you can train your staff and get your staff trained.
Yeah, great non-martial arts books that have like great principles that are valuable for any school owner. It's like the E-Myth is a great one. Another one is Buy Back Your Time, okay, which
By
is
Dan
big,
Martell.
by Dan Martell, which is basically talking about like, you know, a lot of what we say during coaching, like, hey, you need to not do your own website, hire somebody to do your website, hire a company to do your automatic billing, you know, hire somebody to do your graphic design because you're not a graphic designer. And then the time that it would have taken you to do the graphic design, like one, it would have been better done by somebody else. And two, you could have spent that time with your kids, or you could have worked on your business, you know, like instead of trying to do that. So I would definitely, you know, like my sentiments also echo Sands, and like having staff. A lot of people are like, in one reel, I said the one man show. It's like, hey, I'm the front desk guy. Hey, I'm the cleaner. Hey, I'm the instructor. Hey, I'm the you know, person who needs to talk to every parent. Hey, I'm the one who collects money. Like you can't do it by yourself. And a lot of school owners just like refuse to accept that.
Yeah.
I think that that's actually a really great point. Being a gym owner myself and like building a gym from the bottom, you don't have money to hire staff. And so you do kind of begin being the cleaner, the accountant, the gym owner, the lead generator, marketer, you know, maintenance, everything comes down to you at some point or another. And I think you're absolutely right. Like a good leader kind of mentors people to become leaders as well. And then in that way, not only do you free up your time to do other things, but you also, you empower other people to take on that role, and it enriches your team because other people have different skill sets and different things that they're good at aside from you. And I think that, so like you're saying, like bringing on staff and hiring people, even though there is a cost associated with that, I've discovered as a gym owner that it is, it's definitely worth having other people who share that mission and want to contribute to your goals. So I agree with you know, being a good leader and empowering others is good. It's not good to say, I don't want to bring other people to do things because I want things done only my way and I don't trust people to do things if it's not me. And I'm actually guilty of that. I am very much like, sometimes I have to reel myself back and be like, okay, I need to let someone else lead and do this so I can focus on other things and so that they can have an opportunity to develop that skill as a leader.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
It's hard. And all gym owners struggle with that, by the way. It's just hard to let go because it's like, this is my baby. I built it. I don't want you to break it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Exactly. You've you know, like I had this issue all through my life with different careers as well. Like I didn't trust anyone to do things because I wanted things done exactly how I want things done. But you know, you can't do that. It's not sustainable to do that if you want to keep growing, right? Or if you want to move forward, your resources are needed in other aspects of the business. This is kind of a silly question. I don't know if it's even worth answering. Have you ever met a customer that you couldn't help?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I have actually had people
I like
try
your
and hire
honesty.
me from, I've had people try and hire me. Originally, I used to try and help everyone. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's inherent in, like, you know, it's like you're saying before. You know, it's like, I just want to help this kid, or I just want to help this person. I think that's like inherent in every martial artist. You know, that's in it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Um,
We fired clients.
I want to do that, but like I've had to fire some clients, and I've just flat out said no. You know, like some people have been like, okay, I'm ready to get started. And I'm just like, yeah.
We don't think we're a great fit for you.
Yeah, we're not a great fit for you. Like if I'm having issues with you and I haven't even started coaching you yet, like it's not going to work out, bro. Like we're not going to do it.
What kind of issues might you have that might lead you to firing a client?
Oh man.
Oh, man.
Well, What kind of issues?
Because I've had,
Because
remember that kid I was telling you about that kicked that girl in the face? So after
yeah,
that,
Yeah.
after that incident, I started implementing I don't know what to call it. I kind of just refer to it as like a job interview policy. So I
yeah,
offer students and leads, I say you get a free week trial at my gym. Doesn't matter if you're an adult, male, female, child, whatever. If you come to the gym, you get a free week trial. But now that's also I am interviewing you essentially. So you're not guaranteed a position at my school. You have to
yeah,
demonstrate that you are coachable, that you are you have certain qualities in your personality. I'm not asking for world champions.
yeah,
Has nothing to do with like your level of jujitsu, but more like, can your child line up on the wall? Can your child not disrupt others? Is your child reckless with their, are they overly aggressive? Are they safe to be around? Are they disruptive,
yeah,
et cetera, et cetera? Can they follow basic coaching instructions? So now, since that incident, I've totally, every time a new lead comes in, I'm like, just so you know, this is an assessment, if you will. Like you are assessing my school. Is the school a good fit for you? And do you want to, invest in my school? But at the same time, I'm also assessing your child and seeing if your child is suitable for the program, because not everyone can train here. It's you have to demonstrate certain qualities.
yeah,
Yeah, so it all comes back to the mission, right?
yeah.
Like if their mission is the same as yours, and
And our tribe is not for everyone.
our tribe is not. That's what we say in Tribalnomics. My tribe's not for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like not
That's
everybody
okay.
fits, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But we're gonna take people we have, we feel we have the most overlap with.
Yeah.
Firing a client. Why I have one, I'm better at stopping them before they even start. Because like I've stopped 3 people, I would say within the last 6 months.
Yeah.
You know, I had like one person who was like canvassing for my services, and I talked about there was like 4 original gyms that started with me when I started Legacy, and they were like asking me information, and they were like talking poorly about like one of these 4 original gyms that they're aware of is like basically one of my like top tier, like one of my best friends, like,
Yeah.
and I was just like, yeah, like we're not a good fit for you.
Yeah.
Because
you're
you
not
might
gonna
talk shit
like,
about me.
Well, that's the thing, right?
or if you're like, like we're this is not what it's about. It's about helping yourself, like helping you
Yeah.
and getting better. Like why are we talking about this? Why are you talking about them?
Yeah.
What does that have to do with the situation and your gym, and it's your school? Like why
Yeah.
do they have anything to do with it?
Yeah.
So that was a recent one. There's been ones of just like people's personalities not meshing. And I could just tell from the get-go, like kind of the person who like questions everything or is like super negative. I might just say, hey, like we're just not a good,
Yeah.
I just don't think we're going to be a good fit for you.
Yeah.
Because like you cited with the school, it's no different with the consulting.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of like the most recent ones. I haven't had to like, we've been lucky. I haven't had to kick somebody out for a while. I need to really think of who I have kicked out.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing is, like, they're paying us, but they're like, one, not listening to their coach. They're not booking their calls. They're not making an effort, because the problem becomes like, well, we're not well, first of all, you're not putting in the work, because we're not like wizards here. Like we have a magic wand. Like you actually have to do what your coach tells you to do, and you have to, so if in that case, it's like, well, we're not going to continue to take your money, because we're not benefiting you. You're not like, there's no energy.
Yeah.
When we talk about that, like they're not
Yeah.
putting energy in. So it's actually not right for us to continue to just take your money, right? Because then what also can happen is people will be like, well, I signed up with Legacy and, nothing happened. I didn't make any
Yeah.
money, you know, like,
It's funny she's saying that, and I just had a call with some guys down in Texas prior to this podcast,
yeah,
and I said to them, you know, they're asking, they bought one of my courses from like BGG Fanatics, and
yeah,
they're asking me questions about it, and I was, you know, giving them the info. I said, but make no mistake, guys. Like, I'm not Houdini or Jesus. Like, I
yeah,
do not wave my hand and like your gym is full. Like, you guys got to do the work, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
You know, you got to do the work and you got to put the energy in. It's like, again, you know, I always compare it to jujitsu. Hey, the harder I work, the luckier I get, right? Same thing with the gym owners. If you work really hard at the stuff we're telling you to do, you're going to succeed.
yeah,
You know, like maybe not right away, but you will eventually succeed with the principles that we're showing you. You will succeed. Like, I guarantee it. And I guarantee the higher the level of energy, the higher the level of results you're going to
yeah.
get from it.
And it's one of those things where it's like jujitsu as well. Like you have to be uncomfortable to grow, and it's going to form you to, or force you to change your habits.
Yeah.
And so
Yes.
when gym owners come to us, they have these certain habits that have gotten them to a certain point, and we're saying like, okay, like we need to develop new habits. You're going to actually have to go and do things that maybe you've never done before or are not comfortable, or and that's hard for people. So, but what's great is that oftentimes is the case, like people come to us because they are really motivated to learn, they are really motivated to grow. It does take a lot of work and it's uncomfortable for a lot of people. So, you know, legacy is not for everybody. And you're like, just like your jiu-jitsu school is not for everybody either. But for the most part, the clients that come to us are really motivated to do the work. So we have a great track record. I mean, I think our retention rate is like what, 95%?
95 or 97% retention rate for our clients.
Yeah. So, and that's also what makes it really rewarding too, you know, because they're just fired up.
Yeah, like it takes the first year of trying the system and working it, and like we're teaching you how to like really learn your business and make your calendar for the first year.
Yeah.
And then you go through, okay, I like this, I don't like this, I want to add in this, I want to take away this. And then the second year is really the optimization, and then we begin to focus on a lot of staff training. And then the third year, like it's where we really bring it all together. You're saving money. We're starting to teach you like, okay, after you save so much money, where are we going to invest it for our future? You know, and you're using the gym to help the machine keep on going because you don't have a pension. You don't have a retirement pension that you can like lean on, right? So you have to use the gym as a tool to make money to invest for your future, for your retirement, okay? So that you don't have to, you know, crush it every single, you know, like working 90-hour weeks or 100-hour weeks. And as you get older, you can enjoy life more and enjoy time with your family more and things of that nature. So, you know, we've been doing awesome. We've been doing great, and we've been changing people's lives, and we're just so grateful that this is our full-time job now.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think just after becoming like an entrepreneur myself, I would never go back and work for anyone else. I mean, this is kind of how you cheat the system, right? Especially if you're passionate about what you do and you have skills. I think that, and you have that entrepreneurial mind, which for me, I always recommend thinking about helping people because that's the nature of what we do. I never put like the riches before anything. I think if you have those qualities, then, you know, kind of hit the ground running and, you know, don't ever look back. And I'm so grateful for the life that I have with my business because, like you said, it gives you family time. You get to live your passion. You get to make your own hours, work for yourself. There's just so many benefits of having your own business. But again, I also understand it's not a life for everyone, right? Like some people just want to go in and punch the clock, and I totally understand that too. Is there anything else that you want to go over about your program before I let you guys go?
I guess for those listening, if you are interested in learning more, booking a call with me or Nick to talk about your business, you can just go to legacymaconsulting.com to book your free consultation. We'll sit down, talk to you, learn about your school. And that's the thing, like we take time to learn about you. And even though we have a lot of things we teach people how to do, each gym is unique. Like, for example, not every school is going to do an after school program, and that's okay. Like, you have different things that you want to do. And so our approach is not a one size fits all. So you book a consult with us, we learn about you, we learn about what your goals are, where you want to go, what you're doing right now, and then we move on from there. So that's how to get a hold of us, and hopefully we'll see you guys on Zoom sometime soon.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Matt.
Yeah,
it's
thanks
awesome.
so much.
Of course, man. That was a great conversation. Honestly, I learned a lot, and it's nice to talk to people who are not only like someone who owns a gym, but someone who is specializing in helping gyms and sharing some of the strategies. I really thought it was a great chat. And also, I asked you guys to send me those book titles so that I can link them in the bottom in the show notes, as well as your website and your social media or anything like that. Just send it all to me. I'll put it in the bottom. And other than that, I'll just say, guys, thanks for joining. If you want to support or contact the show, just check the links in the bottom as per usual. Other than that, thank you so much, Nick and Sam, for joining us. And remember, the Essential Jiu-Jitsu podcast is all you need to know about jiu-jitsu. Take care, guys.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Bye now.
Bye.